There are some people who spend their entire lives trying to explain the world with complicated words, and then there are rare souls like Shel Silverstein, who could draw a few crooked lines and somehow reveal the deepest truths hidden inside the human heart. His stories looked simple enough for children to understand before bed, yet somewhere between the blank spaces and quiet humor, adults often found themselves staring into emotions they had spent years trying to ignore. Tonight, let us walk slowly into the world he created. A world filled with talking trees, wandering creatures, missing pieces, and lonely dreamers. A world where sadness and joy sat quietly beside one another, never needing to compete. In that strange and gentle universe, Shel Silverstein became more than a writer or illustrator. He became a guide for exhausted souls searching for a place to rest. When people first looked at his drawings, they often underestimated them. The lines were loose. The characters looked unfinished. Nothing appeared polished or grand. But perhaps that was exactly why his work felt so honest. He never tried to impress the world with perfection. Instead, he created stories that felt like conversations whispered late at night between old friends. Every page carried the feeling that someone finally understood the loneliness people rarely speak about out loud. Shel Silverstein lived like a traveler moving endlessly between worlds. In his younger years, he drifted through music, poetry, cartoons, and long stretches of wandering observation. He spent time in crowded cities, noisy bars, quiet hotel rooms, and lonely apartments where ideas arrived like unexpected visitors in the middle of the night. He watched people carefully. He noticed the strange sadness hidden beneath ordinary smiles. He listened to the silence people carried behind their jokes. That sensitivity became the soul of his work. He had a rare ability to take emotions too complicated for adults to explain and place them inside stories simple enough for children to hold in their hands. While others tried to teach lessons directly, Shel preferred asking quiet questions instead. What does it mean to love someone completely? How much of yourself should you give away? Can a person still be whole after losing a piece of themselves? Is loneliness something to escape, or simply something every human being eventually learns to carry? Perhaps no story captured this better than The Giving Tree. On the surface, it seemed like a gentle tale about a tree who loved a boy endlessly. But as readers grew older, the story changed with them. Children saw kindness. Adults saw sacrifice. Some saw devotion. Others saw exhaustion. And somewhere in that tension was the quiet brilliance of Shel Silverstein. He never forced answers upon anyone. He simply held up a mirror and allowed people to discover their own reflections inside the story. The tree kept giving until almost nothing remained. Its apples, branches, trunk, and strength slowly disappeared over time. Yet the story never accused the boy, nor did it glorify suffering. It simply observed love in its rawest and most painful form. That honesty unsettled people because deep down, many recognized themselves somewhere within those pages. Some had been the tree. Others had been the boy. Most had been both. As the years passed, Shel became even quieter in his work. His poems grew shorter, yet somehow heavier with meaning. He wrote about missing pieces searching for completion. He wrote about sidewalks ending where imagination begins. He wrote about children who questioned rules adults blindly accepted. Again and again, his stories returned to the same gentle idea. Human beings spend their lives searching for something outside themselves, only to slowly realize the answers were hidden within them all along. One of his most moving creations was The Missing Piece. The story followed a small incomplete shape rolling through life in search of the piece that would finally make it whole. Along the way, it moved too slowly to keep up with the world. It endured loneliness and frustration. Yet because it was incomplete, it could notice things others ignored. Flowers. Sunlight. Small conversations. Tiny moments of beauty. And when it finally found the piece it believed it needed, something unexpected happened. It rolled too fast to enjoy life anymore. That was the quiet wisdom Shel Silverstein offered so often. Sometimes the things we believe will complete us are the very things that disconnect us from wonder. Sometimes imperfection is what allows us to remain human. Despite becoming beloved around the world, Shel never seemed interested in fame itself. He avoided turning himself into a polished public figure. There was always something wandering and untamed about him, as though part of him refused to fully belong anywhere. Perhaps that distance allowed him to keep seeing the world through clear eyes. While society rushed toward achievement and certainty, he remained fascinated by curiosity, contradiction, and emotional honesty. Even in his later years, he continued creating with the same playful spirit that defined his earliest work. His characters still carried crooked smiles and heavy hearts. His poems still balanced humor beside melancholy. And readers still found comfort inside those strange little pages during the loneliest hours of the night. What made Shel Silverstein unforgettable was not simply his talent, but his compassion for imperfect people. He understood that growing older often means learning how to hide pain behind responsibility. Adults become skilled at pretending everything is fine. But his stories quietly invited people to put down those masks for a while. To remember the softer parts of themselves they abandoned somewhere between childhood and survival. Even now, long after his passing, his work continues to glow gently in bedrooms, libraries, classrooms, and sleepless nights around the world. A tired parent reads The Giving Tree to a child and suddenly feels tears rising unexpectedly. A lonely college student discovers the missing piece and feels understood for the first time in years. A weary adult opens one of his poetry collections late at night and remembers what it felt like to dream without fear. That is the strange magic of Shel Silverstein. He never shouted wisdom. He whispered it quietly enough that people could discover it themselves. And tonight, as the world outside slowly grows quieter, perhaps you can feel that softness too. Imagine the gentle scratch of his pen moving across paper. Imagine those uneven little drawings appearing one line at a time beneath warm lamplight. Imagine a man who spent his life trying to comfort strangers he would never meet. The pages may close eventually, but the feeling remains. Somewhere inside you, there is still a child searching for wonder, still a tired soul longing for rest, still a heart hoping to give and receive love without fear. So let the noise of the day drift away now. Let the unfinished parts of yourself rest without judgment. You do not need to have every answer tonight. You do not need to become perfectly whole before you deserve peace. Like the wandering figures inside Shel Silverstein's stories, you are already enough simply because you are still searching, still feeling, still alive beneath the quiet stars. Sleep gently tonight, and may your dreams carry you back to that small, forgotten corner of yourself where innocence, curiosity, and kindness still patiently wait.